And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. I'm your host, Justin. Today, let's deal with some practical advice on how we small business owners can build a schedule for maximum efficiency. Yes, we're talking about time management for us business owners. According to a Harvard Business School survey, 94% of service professionals put in 50 plus hours per week. That's crazy. You may be saying, Justin, that's me. Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, according to the New York Enterprise Report, it found that small business owners work twice as much as regular employees. It found that 33% of business owners are reported working more than 50 hours per week, and 25% said they work more than 60 hours per week. It's like, dude, that's more like it. Yeah, Gallup found that 39% of owners that they studied worked greater than 60 hours per week. 60 hours per week. How about you? Does that sum you up? Are you working long hours in and on your business? I found an interesting study done by Bank of the West. And they say the biggest challenges for being a business owner is, number 3, avoiding burnout. At 40% of business owners avoiding burnout. Number 2 was 43% said always being on the job. And then a whopping 52% said that one of the biggest challenges is the uncertainty of owning your own business. But I think it's interesting that number 2, 3, and 4, number 4 was balancing work and family, all have to deal with time management. Time management. In a rescue time study, here's what they had to say. They studied roughly 185 million hours of working time, and they discovered some pretty amazing things done by workers. Workers averaged 2 hours and 48 minutes of productive device time a day. 2 hours and 48 minutes of productive device time a day. 21% of working hours are spent on entertainment, news, and social media. How about you as a business owner? Are you spending time just as a brain break on entertainment, news, and social media? 21% of workers say that happens. 28% of workers start their day before 8:30 a.m. and about 5 start before 7 a.m. 40% of workers are at their computers after 10 p.m. After 10 p.m. 40% of people use their computers after 10 p.m. 20% of work is done outside normal working hours. Workers average at least 1 hour of work outside of working hours on 89 days a year. On average, workers check their instant messaging every 6 minutes. 40.1% of our day is spent multitasking with communication tools. And the most distractive days to work were November the 26th, July the 7th, the 2 days following Thanksgiving and the 4th of July. Needless to say, we have some time management struggles. The one that blows me away in their report is that only about 2 hours and 48 minutes are actually considered productive working time. That to me just is interesting. Sir Richard Branson proclaimed, here he is, proclaimed, I'm reading word for word, the death of the 9-to-5 workday within a decade in 2018. And he cites in 2018 that technology is going to change things. Now, he didn't realize that in 2020, we were going to have COVID. That was going to force Americans into working from home and working remotely. And candidly, it didn't even take a decade for a vast majority of people to experience the 9-to-5 workday is dead. There was a study done and published by the IZA Institute of Labor Economics. And now this was based in Germany, and they examined about 1 million university students in the United Kingdom to figure out when was the most productive day for students. And their study showed that 9 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 4:30 p.m. were the most productive times for classroom students. Now, based on all the scores over the last 5 years, roughly, they determined that for students, 1:30 p.m. is the best time slot. But that's for students. What about us? What about us as working adults? What about us as business owners? Well, that really depends. That really depends. Another study showed us that depending on where you are, there are some best times for us. So, for example, if you're working in the support area, just before 8:30 in the morning is your most productive time. If you're an executive or in finance, it's from about 8:40 to 8:50. If you're in software development, it's about 9:17. So, I've actually triggered the most effective times for us adults. But are we efficient? No. No, we're not. We're not efficient. We show up to work, but we're still working 50, 60, 70 hours as business owners. And for the 26%, according to the study I cited earlier, of our work we do outside of working hours, 71% happens before or after work hours, while 29% happens on the weekends. If we look at a full year's worth of data for us business owners, at least 1 hour of work outside of normal working hours happens 89 days per year. And at least 2 hours of work outside of normal working hours is 41 days a year. And 20 days a year, we're at least spending 3 hours of work outside of normal working hours. Even worse, the majority, 28% of this time, was spent on the weekends. The weekends. The time we're supposed to be spending with our family, our friends, away from work. The time we need for our bodies to recover. Guys, we got to stop it. As business owners, we have to gain full-time management. And I got to tell you, I work with business owners all over the country. And almost no matter what business they're in, we're very poor with time management. Very poor. May I propose something? May I challenge you a little bit? May I give you some practical advice on time management? See, I have the honor and the privilege to work with business owners of every stripe, every flavor in the service industry that have anywhere between one employee all the way up to dozens of employees. And I get to see what works. And I get to test it in my own life and see what works. Oftentimes, my friends give me a hard time. My closest friends, some of my family members give me a little hard time because I don't work on Saturdays or Sundays, period. No questions asked. I do not work on Saturdays and Sundays. And candidly, I take some time for my family. I take some time to do the things that I love. I love going to the woods. I love seeing God's creation. I love going fishing. I love going camping and hunting and playing in my garden. I've learned that it'll be here tomorrow. But yet many times we business owners are so used to the rat race that we don't realize what we're doing. So let me challenge you a little bit. Let me give you a structure that I've noticed works quite well for business owners. First, I want you to decide, say it again. First, I want you to decide when you're going to be off work or when you're going to work. I don't care when it is. If you want to work 70 hours a week, great. I want you to figure out when you're going to work or when you're going to be off work. So for me, I'm off work on Saturdays and Sundays. And every year at the beginning of the year, me and Miss Emily, we look at the schedule and we say, here are the times we're going to take vacations. Here's my hunting days. I have my hunting days. I have my fishing days. I have my camping days, my garden days, and I block it off. There's an old saying that says, wherever you are, be there. See, it's not fair. It's not fair to your team. When you're in the office, and you should be doing work at the office, but yet your mind is at home or in the woods or thinking about pizza. It's not fair to your team, nor is it fair to your family when you're at home thinking about work. It's not fair, guys. We're robbing time. I remember this illustration I heard years ago. I'm not exactly sure who I heard it from. It may have been Andy Stanley. I'm not exactly sure, though. I would credit it with Andy because this is something he would say out of all the books I've read that he's written. He was giving an illustration about a little boy who wanted to throw a baseball. And the dad said, not right now, son, not right now. And the little boy every day would come and say, I want to throw a baseball, Daddy. Not right now, not right now. Instead, the coach was telling his daddy, next time you go home and your son asks you to throw the baseball, look at him and say, you are not as important to me at this moment as what I'm doing currently. Think about that. What daddy, what mama would look at their child and say, you are not as important to me at this moment than what I'm working on? We wouldn't do that. But yet every single day whenever we're at home working. That's in fact what we're saying is, son, sweetheart, you're not as important to me right now as this proposal. This proposal places a higher priority than you do in my life at this point. So it's not fair to our families if we're at home working. So the first thing I want you to do is decide when you're going to work and when you're not going to work. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to block your time on your schedule and let the responsible parties know that you're unavailable or available. So you could simply do this. You could simply get your calendar out and saying, hey, we're going to take a family vacation on this time. We're not available. Don't communicate. Or every week on Tuesday from 12 to 3 o'clock, my wife and I are going to go have dinner. I'm unavailable. But I want you to block your schedule. Just absolutely block it off for the whole year. Justin, I don't think that far advanced, but you don't understand my business. Look, guys, I've heard every stinking excuse under the sun. And I got to tell you, I've also been at the deathbed of business owners. And at the deathbed, there's not that many clients and there's not that many sales proposals. There's a family around the business owner. So I've heard it all, man. But why don't you try me? I mean, you're already running around like a wild man anyways. So decide when you're going to work or when you're not going to work, and then block your schedule and then let everybody know. Knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe. So then number 3, schedule the high priority revenue points at your peak operating times. What do you mean, Justin? Every day, depending on our profession, we have peak operating time. So I'll give you a couple of examples and you can apply it to your particular business. If you're a dentist, and you want to strive for $30,000 of revenue per day, then 80% of your revenue should be booked in the first 4 hours of your day. If you're in physical labor, you want to schedule your highest revenue production time while your body is still strong and rested. I remember whenever we used to lay sod, we would lay sod on the day. It'd typically be a Monday or a Tuesday when our bodies were not worn down for the week, and it'd be first thing in the morning. And you get everybody out there. And then, by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, your body is toast from laying St. Augustine grass, and then you go do other things. So physical labor, if you're in that type of industry, schedule your highest revenue producing task while your body is still strong and rested. If you're mental capacity like me, you want to align your clear mind while your mind is still fresh and it's clear with your highest producing time slot. So for me, my highest producing time slot is about 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. During that time slot, I want to have the areas that are going to cause me the most mental strain. I want to have the areas that I'm going to have to use creativity. There are areas where clients need more of my brain power during that time frame, because that is my block of time that is the most productive for me. So look at your life and go ahead and block it out, that the areas that produce the highest revenue, align that with your peak operating times as a business owner. Number 4, I want you to add blocks into your daily schedule. Add blocks into your daily schedule. So for example, let's say my day starts at 8 o'clock. I may take and put a block on my calendar from 8 o'clock to 8:30, just getting into the office. And that's just me, and I have a routine that I take through that time period. It may be you're going to return sales calls. And then I'm going to block off my area that I'm highly productive in, right? That 1, 2, 3, 4 hour area that I'm highly productive in. And then everything else, I'm going to add a different block. See, here's why you want to block it. It's been proven is that spending a long time on something doesn't help us. In fact, statistically, we should only spend around 20 to 50 minutes on a task at any given stretch and no more. If you spend more than 50 minutes, you actually started going into diminishing returns. Even I can remember in the landscape days, we would work hard for about 30 minutes and then take a quick break. And then work hard for about 30 minutes and then take a quick break and do some other little things, because your body needs some blocks. So as you're looking at your schedule, go ahead and block out your highest and most productive time. So when you're looking at your schedule, go ahead and block out your highest and most productive times. Then give yourself some discretionary blocks. Some times where you just need a little bit of moment to either extend an opportunity in a task you're doing or use it for something else. Also, inside your schedule, give yourself some contingency blocks. And life inevitably is going to happen. You're going to have fires that come up. But if you will schedule your most effective time to match your peak performance time for you and your business and your model, and then all the other fires and all the other sales calls and all those other things that aren't maybe your best production areas, you book those out in other parts of your day, then you become more effective. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to build an efficiency list. So at the end of the day, whenever you're concluding your day, maybe you're driving home from the shop, maybe you're headed home from work, and you've got that 5, 10, 15, or in my case, 45 minutes, I want you to write out the function that you did on that day that doesn't meet your level of revenue production. Let me give you an example. Let's say hypothetically that I have my calendar booked up properly, that I have my highest productivity time from 10 to 2, and I have some leeway time, some discretionary blocks here and there, and I've got some contingency blocks just in case a client calls in that I can return a call, or there's a fire that I need to deal with within the business. I've got some contingency blocks in my schedule. But now I'm done for the day, and it's been a highly effective day. And as I'm driving home, I realized that I did something that did not make my hourly rate. So let's assume, for kicks and giggles, that I need to make $1,000 an hour with my time. But all of a sudden, I am checking a Facebook post on the company's behalf. Really? I'm doing that? It's not worth $1,000 an hour for me to do that. Or I took the trash out. Really? It's not worth $1,000 an hour. And those are examples. And I'm not trying to say that nothing is beneath us. What I'm trying to say is that we need to be hyper efficient as business owners and not let the things which do not provide us the revenue that we need to earn with our time and our capacity. What's going to happen is all these other good things are going to replace our time slots for the best thing. So at the end of every day, I want you to write out the functions that you perform that did not meet your revenue production requirements. So at the end of a week, you may say things like, I had to clean the kitchen. I took the trash out. I had to change the spark plugs on a motor. I had to do some scaling for a patient. I had to check various email structuring. I did one this last week that I wrote down. I had to reprogram a router. Seriously? I shouldn't have to be reprogramming a router. We can hire somebody at $110 an hour to do that, not at my rate. So once you write down your efficiency list, then we're going to segment your efficiency list into future roles or future job titles. Why? Because we're going to delegate those eventually. That's number 6. We're going to delegate the low revenue producing activities. See, if you don't identify the things that suck your time away from your control, you're never going to be able to release those things that suck your time away from your control. So number 6 is you're going to delegate your low revenue producing activities. Now that may mean you have to hire somebody. That may mean you need a virtual assistant. That may mean that you have a significant other who can help you. That may mean you restructure some of your organizational charts. But you're going to delegate your low revenue producing activity. And then number 7, you're going to refine and tighten your schedule until you can lead yourself into your desired goal. That's what we're working for. We want to be super efficient with our schedule. So let me run through this one more time for you. And hopefully this makes sense to you, because I'm telling you, we do this with a ton of clients, and it always leads to more revenue. It always leads to more time. And I'm using that word always, because if you do this, it will lead to more revenue and more time capacity. It does. So number 1, when are you going to work? When are you physically going to do your job? We're talking about how many hours a day, what days in the year, what hours are you going to be working and are you not going to be working? Write it down and tell your team, tell your family. Then I want you to block your schedule. Block it out. If you're not going to work at lunch every day, then block out your lunch and you can't work during then. Then you're going to schedule your high priority revenue, your high revenue producing time at your peak operating time. The reason why I say yours is because everybody's different. But you're going to schedule your highest revenue production at your peak operating time, whenever that is. In order to do that, you're going to provide blocks in your daily schedule. You're going to actually block out your high production time. And during that time period, you need to align what it is that yields the best dollar figure for you. You're going to schedule some discretionary time blocks and some contingency time blocks in your schedule. Then at the end of every day, you're going to build an efficiency list. You're going to identify all the things you did that you shouldn't do as a business owner. You're going to segment your list, and that's going to create you a new job title for your next hire more than likely, because you're going to delegate the low revenue producing activities. And ultimately, you're going to consistently refine and tighten and refine and tighten. I got to tell you, friends, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been coaching business owners for a long time. Again, I've heard every excuse underneath the sun. Well, Justin, you just don't know my schedule. I have to do this and I have to do this. No, you don't. No, you don't. You put a diagnosis in your life of cancer, and your life totally changes, and you realize you don't have to do all that stuff. So you don't have to do it. I've dealt with it all before, friends. I'm gonna call horse hockey on that one, as my grandma would say. No, you've gotten accustomed to it. You've got some bad habits, and now you're stealing time from your loved ones for your business. And friends, that's not the way it should be. So I've given you 7 ways on how you can create a maximum efficient schedule in your business. Now, every business is different. You can customize that for your business. If you don't know how to do it, hey, reach out to us. This is what we do day in, day out. We help business owners rock it out. We help business owners avoid owner dependence. We help business owners set up processes and structures in place to where this business can operate without you, the business owner, having to have your hands in every single thing. That's what we do. So friends, until next time, I realize life is hard. Time management is a bugaboo. It is tough. It is tough to deal with. I get it. Life is hard, but life is good. Think about this. How blessed are you? If you had to write down every blessing, I'm not sure you could fill it. I'm not sure that you could contain it within one ream of paper. Not sure you could. If you start thinking about it, saying, thank you, Lord, for the eyebrows I've got. Thank you for my teeth. Thank you for my hearing. Just start with your body. You could have a ton of things there. You say, well, my body's not perfect. No one's is. Then you start to your family and your friends and life and experiences and then country and then faith. And you couldn't write all your blessings down on one sheet of paper. So life is good. And I get that it's hard. I get it. But we're a blessed people. Hey, friends, let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Y'all go out and make it a great day.